Republicans apparently really believe Donald Trump's big lie. I try to push back on this with conservative Julio Rivera. I'm not sure I accomplished anything, but it's an interesting discussion. Check it out, leave your comments, ding the bell, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel. Our old buddy Julio Rivera is with us. He's the editorial director of Reactionary Times, contributor to Newsmax, American Thinker, and townhall.com, reactionarytimes.com. His Twitter handle, oh yeah, Y-E-A-H, oh yeah, it's Julio. Julio, hey, welcome back, my friend. It's good to have you. It's been quite a while since we've talked. How are you? Where are you? How's life? What's up?
Well, you know, I'm just getting used to saying President Biden, which was kind of a difficult thing for me. But, you know, he's, the president of the United States right now, whether or not it was as justified as the mainstream media would like to portray it to be. But we have to deal with Joe Biden as president for at least the next 4 years. Yeah.
Are you still living in Europe?
Yes, I am. I actually am in Europe right now as we speak.
Cool. Okay. I don't want to get into your private life on the air and like that. I just, it's we've known each other for years, and I wanted to touch base with you. We probably should just have a phone call one of these times. I'm curious your thoughts about how I published an op-ed this morning over at thomhartmann.medium.com. suggesting that if the Democrats fail to use this impeachment hearing to blow up this Republican big lie that they've been using for 40 years to disenfranchise, to prevent black people, Hispanic people, people who live in cities, younger voters, and Social Security voters from voting, to make it harder and harder and harder to vote. We have over 200 pieces now of voter suppression legislation that have been introduced into 26 state legislatures just since Donald Trump lost the election. That if this big lie is not blown up, 4 out of 5 Republicans right now are open to the idea or believe that Donald Trump actually won the election. If that big lie isn't blown up, I'm concerned about the future of our democracy. I'm curious your thoughts on that.
Well, I mean, there were a lot of things that were kind of different about this past election. I think we can all agree with that. And I think that, the Democrats have long had a history of engaging in things like ballot harvesting. The Democrats are always opposed to things like...
Yeah, hang on just a second here. What is ballot harvesting? What is ballot harvesting? What is ballot harvesting?
The way that it was, the way that it is manipulated a lot of times is when people go ahead and take the ballots of people who are not maybe able to execute their vote personally. And they go ahead and collect this. These are DNC operatives. They collect large numbers. There was actually a situation in Texas, in Harris County, with Dallas Jones, who was a top Biden operative. They had engaged in a ballot harvesting scheme, and they were intent on gathering as many as 700 to 800,000.
So hang on just a second. Let me get this straight. We know that I believe it was in North Carolina, and I know you're familiar with this, a Republican operative was going around and actually buying ballots from people that weren't filled out and filling them in for Republicans. He got busted for that, and I believe he's in jail right now. But in many states, it is quite legal for people who are shut in, for people who are, just for general convenience, for people from either political party. Now, some states have made this illegal, and, I don't have a problem with it being legal or illegal, but, to go around and pick up the sealed envelopes that would otherwise go in the mail and transport them to the Secretary of State's office. You can call that ballot harvesting if you want, but there's nothing nasty about that unless they open the ballots and change them, in which case it's a felony. And I guarantee you, Julio, if that had happened, if any of those ballots had been changed in Texas, Greg Abbott would have those people's asses in jail in a heartbeat. So, let's stop using this kind of bizarre rhetoric as if there's something skeezy going on here.
It's not necessarily bizarre rhetoric. I mean, listen, there was a special election in Paterson, New Jersey in June of last year where they found out that 20% of the ballots were in question because of issues related to, fraud. It generally happens.
And there was no fraud
Democratic ran cities. No, wait a minute. Let me finish, Tom. It generally happens in democratically ran city, minority minority areas, you had, I remember in Georgia in particular, they took, and I don't know why the Georgia GOP allowed this, but they said that they weren't going to actually test the signatures. They weren't going to pass the signatures through any verification.
That is not what happened, Julio. As you just said, you don't know if that happened. I guarantee you it didn't. In fact, Raffensperger, the Secretary of State in Georgia, is on the record saying every signature of every mail-in ballot was verified.
And they ran three really light audits.
So I guess the bottom line here is that you're going to continue to promote this Republican big lie? Is that what you're saying?
I don't necessarily believe it's a big lie. This was a very tight election. I think there were irregularities in several swing states.
This was not a tight election. Joe Biden won by 7 million votes.
The election to President Trump, or at least change the Electoral College.
Yeah, let's get rid of the Electoral College. What happened to democracy?
Forget all of this. Forget all of this. Let me just ask you one basic question. Should there not be one standard that every state abides by for national elections, for the president, for Congress, for the Senate? If various states want to use whatever thresholds they want to validate votes, because it's their state elections, whether it's for their legislature or for their governor or their county and municipal level races, they can do what they want. But does that not fall under equal protection? That we should have one standard for national elections?
You know, I completely agree with you, and thank you for the ad for the Democrats' H.R. 1. I mean, that's what it will do, is it will establish those national standards for presidential elections. And, I think we can agree on that states shouldn't be allowed to mess with votes. I mean, Jeb Bush should not have been allowed to throw 58,000 African Americans off the voting rolls, weeks before the election, who had not committed any crime at all. They just had a name similar to a felon in Texas. That should have been a crime, Julio, back in 2000, right?
I have so many other things to say to you, but we're short on time, so.
Yeah, we are. And we'll continue this conversation. Julio, it's nice to have you back on the program. I look forward to future conversations. Julio Rivera, Editorial Director of Reactionary Times. He contributes to Newsmax, American Thinker, townhall.com, reactionarytimes.com, Twitter. Oh, yeah, it's Julio. Julio, thanks.